As you know, this weekend we have a 3-day workshop with Matthew Jordan Smith. We are so excited. But since he's already here in Seattle, we wanted to grab him and do a little Q&A to let you get to know who Matthew is as a person.
Who am I?
Before he starts teaching. So we're very excited to have you. On behalf of the internet, very excited to have you.
It's great being here. I'm glad to be in Seattle and really excited about coming here and sharing what little knowledge I have about photography.
What little knowledge. So to that point, you have a long career under your belt so far.
I've been
long
blessed.
Career to go.
I've been blessed, yeah.
How many years have you been in the business?
Wow, 25 years I've been doing this, and I'm just really fortunate. I'm lucky because I every day I make a living doing what I love, and that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
It is. Most days.
So we've already we've gathered some questions from the internet, and you can continue to ask questions using our chat room.
Ask away.
Which is creativelive.com/chat, and also in our forum, you can ask questions there.
Sounds good.
So first question is, people want to know.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. Bruce Feingold has asked, how about talking about your background? When did you get into photography?
Okay.
You already talked about that. And what got you started as a pro? And so twofold, what got you started as a pro, but also how did you get into beauty and fashion versus all the other types of photography that are out there?
It's kind of funny because I went to art school in Atlanta, and when I first entered photo school, I had the idea of doing sports. I was into sports. I played ball and all that, and I loved that. But in a class one day, this professor was talking about fashion and beauty, and he was showing pictures of Vogue magazine and Zoom and all these great magazines around the world. And it's probably my first time really looking at a fashion magazine, and it never crossed my mind. And he talked about showing images that are really your point of view. And I think I fell in love with that, about having my ideas out there for the world to see through fashion and beauty. And that was kind of like the spark, I think, that day.
Nice. So you were here, well, not physically here, but during Tamara Lackey's workshop, she interviewed you via Skype, which was awesome.
Yay, Tamara Lackey.
And then asked you online live if you would come here to CreativeLive. And during that talk, you talked about how you went to New York to start your career.
Absolutely.
But you live in Los Angeles now.
I live in LA now.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm from New York originally,
Okay.
and then my family moved down south to South Carolina, and then I moved back to New York after art school to start my career, because I felt New York was the Mecca in many ways. I had a professor in school also say that if you want to be a great photographer, either go to Europe or go to New York. This is back in the 80s, so I went back to New York and started my career as working as first an intern, then a photo assistant, and then I evolved from assisting to shooting, and that's how it started. It wasn't easy, but it was that's the path.
And did you start? You talked about in school you fell in love with the idea of fashion and beauty photography. Is that
Absolutely.
Is that what you started in from the beginning?
Yeah. When I got to New York, I started working for photographers whose work I admired, and they were doing everything from fashion to still life to architecture, and working with photographers doing the entire range. It helped me hone in on what I liked doing.
Right.
And I found out then that I really loved the creativity and the world around fashion and beauty. Kind of weird how I got there, but.
It's always an interesting story as to how people get where.
Yeah.
We get a lot of questions from people saying, what should I do to become a fashion photographer? And there's not anybody that's going to have the same path as you. So there are tips and everything that you can, and advice that you can give people.
Absolutely.
But it's going to be your own path.
It's your own path, but you must know the basics.
Right.
You must research, study, all that, because there are a lot of people who get into fashion for the wrong reason or beauty for the wrong reason, and you gotta love it. You've got to love it. I can't even explain the feeling I have when I have an entire crew working on an idea together, and you get this magic. It's incredible. I love that. I love the process of creation. And in fashion and beauty, you get to create and put your fingerprint, on the work and show the world how you feel. One of my favorite photographers is this guy named Stephen Meisel. He shoots a lot for Italian Vogue. And every month, the fashion stories are plucked out of the headlines. And I love that. So he's showing how he feels through fashion about things going on in the world. Like, for example, last year there was the big oil spill in the States, in the Gulf.
Yeah.
And he did this big story in Italian Vogue based around that. He did a big story years ago on the war through fashion. So you're telling your point of view based on whatever you feel, whatever you like, whatever inspires you. And I love that.
Now, you talked about you have an entire team.
Yes.
That's bringing your vision to life.
The team's essential. You can't do it by yourself.
Right. And so how, I think maybe, are we going to talk about that this
Absolutely,
weekend?
quite a bit. We were talking about the team over the next couple of days, the next 3 days, we would talk about the team. And for me, team stands for together, each achieves more. That's team. And it takes a team working together as one cohesive unit to make magic happen. I have the idea, and then I share my idea with my team, and then it just comes alive, and it's magic.
Nice.
So we're gonna make magic, guys.
Nice. Live.
Live.
So we were talking a little bit earlier. We were listening to some great music as we were getting pumped and ready.
Absolutely.
And we
It's
were
still in my head.
Right, I know, me too. I was joking about how I can't sing. But then you said, well, I have a very funny story
yes.
about singing on the set. Could you share that with us?
Sure. So the latest cover of Aretha Franklin that's out right now, I shot a while ago. And during the shoot, Aretha loves hearing her own music. She loves hearing her own music. So I put together this list of my favorite Aretha Franklin tunes.
Nice.
And the entire crew, everybody in the room, in the studio, was in this vibe, hearing her music all day. She's getting her hair and makeup done. And then she comes out on set, and she's singing to her music. So I'm shooting her, and I'm almost this close to her as she's singing. And I'm getting goosebumps, and the whole crew is getting goosebumps, and we're all feeling the vibe,
Right.
And she's singing this song. It's one of my favorite songs of hers. And I start singing along with her. So we're all like in this move and this groove, and all of a sudden she stops. She's like, "Skrr!" She's like, she calls me Jordan. She's like, "Jordan, honey, don't sing, baby."
And you said, yes, ma'am?
Absolutely. So so Aretha told me I can't sing, but it was all good. And
That's a great story.
I love that day, and she's one of my favorite clients. I've been shooting her
Nice.
like the last 7 years I've been shooting Aretha.
Really?
And, yeah.
Wow. And you're going to be sharing some of that with us this weekend?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the way I shot the current cover, we'll be shooting that same way the next couple of days.
Sweet.
So it'll be fun.
So
Sharing my secrets.
So I introduced you as a fashion and beauty photographer, but you're also a celebrity photographer. How did you get into that?
I fell into it, really. It's kind of funny. I never pursued celebrity photography. It just came to me. I started my career by shooting beauty, fashion and beauty, with more of a concentration on beauty photography.
Right.
And we'll go into that also, where I talk about fashion and beauty and what's fashion and what's beauty. So I'm doing my beauty, I'm shooting for magazines, and an editor calls me and says, "Matthew, everybody loves your work. We want you to shoot Halle Berry." So I get my first shoot. It's a cover shoot for a magazine, and it's Halle Berry.
Nice.
And I do that shoot. The magazine loves the story. They love the images. They call me back to shoot another celebrity. So it's Vanessa Williams.
Nice.
So then after Vanessa Williams, they give me Oprah.
Wow.
And then after Oprah, it just like snowballed, and it's turned into what it is today. So people know me now about shooting celebrities, but I love photography,
Right.
period. And it just happened.
So in our last workshop with Rick Salmon, Rick talked a lot. We talked every day about what does your photography mean to you?
Oh, wow.
And we had a lot of people answering that question on our forum, and the students were talking about it.
I like that question.
Really great question.
Great question.
So, Jordan,
What does
what
photography
does
mean
what
to
does
me?
your photography mean to you?
Wow. Photography for me, you know, it feeds my soul. I have to shoot. Whether I'm shooting a job or whatever, I've got to shoot. And it's almost like a release for me. It's a release of my creative vision. It's how I express myself. You know, we have different ways of communicating through voice, through touch, through sight, and through photography. And for me, it's my voice. It means everything to me.
So, follow-up question. If you couldn't be a photographer, what other profession? What else would you do?
Wow, definitely something visual. If there was no photography, oh my God, it's a horrible thought. No photography. If there was no photography, I would probably be, I guess, a director.
Oh, nice.
Because you know, in fashion and beauty, you're a director anyway.
You are a director, yeah.
You have the story idea and you're putting it together, and being a fashion photographer, you're telling stories. And a lot of my stories come from inspiration from things I love. Like, I'm a big movie person. I love movies, so the ideas will come from movies or a favorite book, and sometimes that book will be from childhood. I regress back to childhood and tell a story from that, or use it as inspiration for a story today.
Right.
Yeah, I guess a filmmaker, I guess.
Cool.
I love photography, so
well,
let it stay.
Yeah, exactly.
Forever.
A similar question from Sam Cox, one of our regulars,
Hey, Sam.
is, Matthew, you're obviously a very expressive person. So besides photography, do you have other expressive outlets, such as, or perhaps acting or painting?
My girlfriend paints and draws, and she's very good at it. And I've tried, and I've given up on the painting. Definitely very expressive. I love photography because that's what I can do well. If I tried to paint or draw or sketch, I think people would be like Aretha Franklin with my singing. They'd tell me to stop. I wish I could sing. I wish I could sing because it's a great way to express yourself. And you know, I feel so alive when I hear somebody who's amazing, with a great voice, you know, open up and share that expression. I love the arts. Period.
Nice. You talked in your interview with Tamara Lackey about books. You read a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of your top books that you would recommend that people read with regard to, again, not necessarily photography, but just life?
Favorite books?
Yeah.
Oh boy, you open a can of worms here because I have a lot of books.
Name three.
Name
Two.
three.
Or
Okay,
one.
give me three. Three top books.
Or ones that you've recently read and you recommend.
Well, a book I'm reading right now is not about photography, but I'm a big Warren Buffett fanatic. You know, I read everything about Warren Buffett, so I'm reading his biography right now, which is quite nice. Snowball, I'm reading that at the moment. But three books that I would recommend for every photographer about enhancing your photography and your vision. The first one is Selling the Invisible. Selling the Invisible is a fantastic book. It's not a photo book, but it will help your photography more than a lot of photo books out there. The second one is, this is great, and this is great for now, in a recession. It's good in bad times and in good times. And that book is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. That's a wonderful book. And then the third book, because I think we're always on a journey. As an artist, you have this vision of where you want your life to go, where you want your work to go. And then life takes over. And this book is about that, the journey. And that's The Alchemist.
The Alchemist. I love that book as well.
It's a great book.
It is.
It's great.
It is.
Those three books are worth reading every year to keep you fresh and
I like that.
remind you about the journey and the process If you're slow, read these books. If you want to make more money this year than last year, read these books. If you want success, read these books.
Nice. And The Alchemist doesn't take that long to read.
No. It's a great on the plane, which I'm always on plane a lot. So, I do a lot of my reading now on my iPad now.
Right. So how much are you traveling out of the year, would you say?
It's up and down. It's crazy. I 2 months ago, I was traveling very little. And then in the last month, I have 6 trips.
Oof.
Back to back.
Wow.
It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But that's how it happens. That's how it happens. So be careful what you ask for, because you'll get it.
This is true. Another question from Sam Cox was, does Matthew sometimes find that being famous, as you certainly are, he says, gets in the way of your work?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't consider myself famous, but I do think the more your work is known, the more pressure there is to produce better work, because you're always trying to push yourself. And for me, my best work is my personal work. And with that, I can express myself fully without having to worry about telling a client's vision at the same time. You gotta always push yourself. And then there's competition from friends. Like one of my best friends is, we're always in competition with each other, for work and stuff. So, but it kind of pushes you.
I was going to say, healthy competition.
Yeah, that's good. Like in sports, it's the same thing.
Right. And I can imagine like musicians, they put out their first album and then you're like always feeling like you need to one up yourself. How do you deal with those pressures? What are your kind of outlets for?
Outlets for that pressure. Lately, I've been into meditation and yoga a lot, and it's helped me in finding my voice, in having clarity, and being crystal clear. I wasn't into that before, but I found that through doing yoga and meditation, it's helped me as an artist. Because this whole thing about like you're always working so hard every day to share yourself with everybody, with every client, doing emails and calls and meetings. And I've learned now, before I give myself away to the world, I've got to give myself to myself. So I start my day first by doing that.
I love it. I practice the same. So it's something where people say, "Oh, I don't have the time. But
you have to make the time.
You make the time, and that allows you to get through the rest of the day.
And not just get through, but excel.
Right. No, I love that sentiment that you have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of anybody else.
Absolutely.
And sometimes we might think that that's selfish, but it's not.
It's not. No.
It has to be that way. So let's see. Let me ask you another question from the internet.
Ask away.
Quentin had asked a couple of great questions on the forum. And his question is, times change and technology is constantly evolving. What are some of the notable changes that have taken place during the course of your career that you have been able to survive and adjust to as a photographer?
I like that question.
That's a great question.
I like that question quite a bit. You're right, things are constantly changing, Being
Especially
in
in 25 years.
Absolutely. 25 years, I've seen so many ups and downs in the industry. I went through the dot-com bust in the late 90s. I went through 9/11 in New York, and then now going through the current recession. And you see things happen. And it's cyclical. It's always going up and down. It can't be the same. So if you're on top of your business, when things go down, you need to promote more, to push yourself more, to work on your personal projects. During the first real recession in my career was like the dot-com bust.
Right.
And seeing everything go down. So work went down. And at that point, I worked on my first book, Sepia Dreams. So during that dead time, I put my work and my energy into producing and working on my first book. And I'd never done a book before. And everybody's telling me, oh, it takes years to get a book deal and it's gonna be hard. And I got a book deal in 3 days.
Wow.
And it was a 6-figure deal. And
wow.
it is, don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. You can do anything if you just believe. And that's what happened. So that downtime, those changes in technology, they will always come.
Right.
So you keep working, you keep pushing, and you stay to the fundamentals. Just like Warren Buffett.
Right.
You stick to the fundamentals through any up and down time. In career, in business, stick to the fundamentals and keep doing and read those books.
What are your fundamentals?
Relationship.
Ooh.
This business, it's all about relationships. Yes, the work needs to be great, but you've got to work on the relationships.
Yeah.
Person to person. Stay in contact with my clients. Sending new work, sending cards. If I go on holiday, if I go to Iceland or to Japan or to Sweden, I'll send a postcard to my clients saying, oh, I'm here in a great location. We should do a shoot here.
Nice.
Just working on the relationship, because that's what it's all about.
So we have a lot of people in our audience who are emerging photographers.
Yes, I am too.
Always an evolution, right?
It is.
So what would you recommend for people to do to, obviously you have all of these relationships established now.
Absolutely.
How would you recommend for people to establish relationships? Would you recommend going to certain conferences or networking?
I have a list of things. If you're brand new in photography, if you're an emerging photographer and you want to get out there, my best advice is to put yourself out there. Enroll in every course you can. Enter the best contests around the world, the best photo contests. So these editors can see the work.
Right.
Enter contests. Send your work, have a show, have an exhibit. It doesn't have to be a big show. You can have a show at your local Starbucks or coffee shop or anywhere, but have an exhibit to show your work. Find your best 5 pieces, print them, and send them to editors. Give yourself a schedule. Make yourself a plan for the year and stick to that plan.
Setting goals.
Setting goals, I'm a big goal person.
How do you manage your goals? Or do you
I've always been a big goal person.
Do you have them on one place that you keep looking back to every week or every day?
No, I actually, this is hard to believe, but all my friends know this about me. I write my goals down and I place them on my bathroom mirror. So every morning, I speak my goals. Every morning. Even when I'm traveling, I say it first thing in the morning. I say my goals, what my goal is for the year, for 5 years. I say my goals every day.
Wow, I like that.
I'm a big goal person.
I like that.
If you want something, you've got to speak it first, and then it becomes real.
Right.
I absolutely believe in that.
I'm right there with you. Jordan. Can I call you Jordan?
Absolutely.
Is that what people call you, or is that just
some
Aretha?
Some of my friends do, Matthew, Jordan, whatever.
So let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do this weekend.
We have a lot of fun, first and foremost, but we're going to go through the process of a photo shoot. We're going to act like we're shooting for a client, a fashion client, a magazine story. So we're going to shoot a cover of a magazine. That's the beauty. We're going to go through what is beauty, go through the lighting, show examples of it. And then we'll go into our third day, will be all about fashion, shooting an actual fashion story. So we've casted the models, we've got the whole crew together, hair, makeup, stylist, and we have a storyboard. And I had the idea, the concept, and we're going to shoot all these ideas.
Now tell me a little bit about these storyboards,
sketches?
these sketches. I saw these over at the table this morning and said, wow, did you do these?
I wish I did, but if I did, nobody would be able to recognize them. My girlfriend sketched all this for me, and she's great, and she's always taking my ideas and bringing them to life. I like having visuals around when I shoot, and they don't have to be sketches, but if they're from my mind, I want a sketch. Sometimes I'll have a reference from a picture, from a magazine, to help give inspiration, to show my idea, because I can tell my team my idea, but if I tell them my idea only, they have that in their mind. If I tell them and show them, then they get it. Then they get it. So I like having visuals around all the time. So as I have the idea and I'm telling my crew the concept, they can see it. And then as we work also, I have it right beside me, so I can make sure I stay on point and get my idea clearly out there.
That's wonderful. And I mean, these are just beautiful.
Thank you.
Your girlfriend, you collaborate with often?
Often, quite a bit. She's quite amazing.
And she's is she an artist? Is she a...
She's an artist. She's a jewelry designer, but she also draws and paints. And my girlfriend is from Japan, and she has if you guys know about Manga, she has been working on a manga book for a while.
Tell us what that is.
Manga, if you're familiar with Japanese culture, there are these books in Japan called manga, and they're like sketches and drawings. They tell stories, and they're a big deal in Japan. So, ohayo gozaimasu. It's kind of cool.
Nice. Well, shout out to
Nozomi.
Nozomi. Nozomi.
Nozomi.
Nozomi.
Hi.
Let's see. Let's take another question from the internet. From David Arneal. Was there a time when you realized that you had made it? And what was the tipping point?
Wow. I love that question. I was just telling my assistants the same, we just talked about the same thing. So, making it. My first book, Sepia Dreams, the book is about, it's photographs and interviews. I never interviewed anybody before I did this book. So the book is full of 50 celebrities talking about how they got started in their career.
Nice.
So Sam Jackson's in my book. And I'm interviewing him on the set of a movie, and I'm asking him, when did he know he made it? So the same question. And I often think about this because he told me this great story about making it, because you had this idea of when you're going to make it and what's going to look like, but the reality is very different usually. So, and I think about that same thing. I think about him and his answer, and I think about my career, and you know, life has its own way of showing you how it should be. I'm not sure if I've made it yet, because I had these goals and it keeps changing each year. So you hit one level,
right,
and then you want to go somewhere else, and somewhere else, and somewhere else. So it's constant, you know. So to answer your question, when did I make it? I'm not sure if I've made it yet. I'm still working on that all the time. Yes, I've had some success in my life, in my career, and I love it, but it's the process.
Right.
And I love the process. So getting back to Sam Jackson, how he answered that question, I asked him, when did he know he made it? And do I have time to go through this?
Yes, please. Yep.
So he's telling me he got a play. It's his first big play in New York. And it was a big deal play at the time. It had all the big actors who were up and coming. It was him. It was Denzel Washington. It was Morgan Freeman, all in the same play.
Wow.
So they're all in this play, they're all up and coming actors. And that was, oh, I've made it now. That was that one thing. But then after the play, he had nothing. So Denzel goes on to do a lot of great movies, and Morgan Freeman goes on to do a lot of great movies. And he's sitting there like, what's going on? So he felt defeated in a way. But then he got, you know, like a couple of years later, he got like a 3-picture deal from some studio. So he goes on to do these 3 movies, and then nothing. So he went into a depression because all his friends around him are all working. And then his wife said, you know what? You don't like the fame, you like the acting, because you feel so alive when you're acting. And it hit him like, yeah, I love the process. Whether I'm being paid or not, I love acting. So then he went to about going out and just getting work acting, period, because he loves that release. And then things started happening little by little by little. And he told this story about doing this old Spike Lee movie. I forget which movie it was. I forget the name of the movie now, which one it was, but it's a big movie, one of Spike's biggest movies. And he's a DJ in the movie. He opens the movie up. And there's another character in the movie named Radio Raheem. And Radio Raheem is the main character in the movie. So one day they're walking down the street when the movie comes out, and people see them. They stop Radio Raheem's character, and they're all asking for his autograph, and Sam Jackson's right there. And they're like looking at him and like not recognizing him or anything, because he's not a big star at the time. And they look at Radio Raheem, ask for his autograph, and that character says, oh, there's no, this guy, he's in the movie also. And they're like, no, we don't know him. So Sam's like, oh wow, I felt so weird. But fast forward to now,
Right.
the whole world knows him.
Right.
So success comes at different points in your career, and it's a process. So.
Well, and I also love what you talked about with regard to you just have to put yourself out there.
Absolutely.
Nobody is going to come, well, not nobody, but come knock on your door.
Yeah.
And I think that as emerging photographers look at professional photographers and say, wow, well, they probably just, all this work comes to them.
No.
Is
no.
that the case?
That's
And,
not the case.
Demystify that.
Yes,
Demystify
indeed.
that.
Sometimes things do come to you, but that's why the goals are so important. You have to go out there and get it. If you have an idea, you got to put it out there. A lot of my work comes from me calling a client and say, I have this great idea for a story. I put it out there. Or shooting my personal work and putting that out there. You've got to want it.
Right.
And have focus and make it happen. You can't just sit back and say, oh yeah, I want this to happen. It doesn't happen that way. You've got to put it out there and show the universe that you want it.
Right.
That's how it happens.
Right. I mean, a lot of people might say, oh, you're so lucky, but you did the work.
No, yeah.
You made it happen.
You must be prepared for the luck.
Right. Prepared for the
Absolutely.
luck.
Yeah.
Right. I like that. I like that. Well, this has been really great. Having people getting to know you. Oh, and is Do the Right Thing? Is that the movie?
Yes, do the right thing. Thank you.
We could thank you, Internet.
Thank you.
We could always
Do the
rely.
right thing.
We can always rely on the Internet
Yeah.
to give us answers. So
Do
that's
the right
great.
thing. Thank you guys. That was very cool.
That's fabulous. So join us tomorrow at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Seattle time, Pacific Standard Time, and we will be kicking off our 3-day live workshop
I'm
online.
looking forward to it.
And you can watch from anywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world.
All right.
Iceland, Japan, Sweden, Malaysia. Thank you, all you guys who've tuned in and said where you're watching from. We love that, and I love it quite a bit. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.